start with question number 35. So I'll give you a minute to solve this, and then I'll show you how to solve it. Okay, so for this one, all we have to do is compare the two squares that we're given. So we're given that one of them is 7 inches by 5 inches. So the area of that would be 7 times 5, which is 35. And then the area of the other one is 5 by 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. And so we're asked, what is the probability that the point is within the shaded region? Well, if we want to find the area in the shaded region and not the area in the white box, then we would do 1 minus 15 over 35, which 15 over 35 simplifies to 3 over 7. So 1 minus 3 over 7. 1 can also be written as 7 over 7, which gets us 4 over 7. You could have also put the answer choice as 0.571. These two are the same thing. It's just that typically writing fractions is going to be easier because you don't have to deal with rounding. Okay, question 36. Someone asked what was the answer to number 35. The answer to number 35 was 4 over 7. Okay, so for question 36, we're given that negative 9x plus 24 qx equals 36. And we're told that q is constant and the equation has no solution. Well, for the equation to have no solution, we would have to get something like we'd have to get something like 0x equals 36, something like that. 0x equals 36. So, because for us to have no solution, 0 times any number for x has to always equal 0, so it can't ever equal 36. So that's why this has to simplify to 0x. And so we have negative 9x plus 24qx equals 0x. And so we just add 9x to both sides, so we get 24qx equals 9x. And then we divide 24 by 9. Or sorry, we divide 9 by 24 and we get the 9 divided by 24, or 9x divided by 24x. So we can also just do the x right now, and we get q equals 3 over 8. That simplifies to 3 over 8. Q equals 3 over 8. Okay, question 37. Okay, so for this one, we're told that um R is 20 over 21 times the value of T. So okay, and then it says the value of T is what percent greater than the value of R. And so for this one, if it's 20 over 21, you'd have, well, it says percent greater, so you'd have to have, I think it's 600, or is it? Which if we put that in, we get R as 5%. Okay, so for this one, the answer would be 5 then. So the main thing we just have to do is we just have to convert the T into a percentage. And that's about it. And then we just multiply out. Question 38. Okay, so for this one, we're given two numbers A and B that are greater than 0. So it says 4 times the square root of A equals 9 times the cube root of B. Okay, and then it gives us what A is. A is 2/3. So basically for this, I think what I'll do is just plug in to find B. So we have cube root of 2/3. And remember, this is a calculator problem, so I would recommend plugging in for this. Okay, and so for this, yeah, 3.26. Okay, so for this one, we get 0.047788 equals B. And then it says if A is 2/3, for what value of X is A to the power of X equal to B? So A to the X. So, 2/3 to the power of X has to equal 0.047788. And if we plug that into our calculator, we get that 15/2 is X. If you do 2/3 to the power of 15/2, you get 0.047788. So the answer to this question is 15/2 equals X.
Pusha, someone is asking, what did you put in the calculator? In the chat, you can have a look.
I don't think you can see this. Okay, but basically,
We could see it. You can share it, the calculator itself. I mean, if you share it, we can see it.
but basically what you have to do is you have to plug in. Huh. If you, let's, never mind. But basically, if you plug that into a calculator, 2/3 to the power of 15/2, you'd get the same answer. I think that was the last question on this SAT.
I have shared the link to the next question as well in the chat.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, also for whoever asked how I plug this in a calculator, basically what you have to do is you have to do graph and you have to see 0 point, or you just have to plug this in into the graph. 2/3 to the power of x, and you have to see where it equals this. And so a way you can do that is by creating a line at this position where you can write y equals this and then see where it intersects. Your calculator should show you where the intersection point is. That is one way you could do it. There's also for calculators, you can also download, I think there's a few programs which can help you find how to the exponents for this. But generally, you could just use a graph and find the intersection point. Most calculators show you where the graph intersects. Okay, so for this one, it says a certain university offers courses that are either 3 credits or 4 credits per course. And it says they totaled 16 credits. So the 3 credit courses are X and 4 credit courses are Y. So we have 3X plus 4Y equals the total, which is 16, which is answer choice B. Okay, question number 2. All right, so for this one, we're given f of x equals x plus 3. And we're given what is the y-intercept? Well, the y-intercept is where x is 0. So 0 plus 3, which is just 3. So this would just become x is 0 and y is 3. So 0, 3, which is answer choice D. All right, for this one, it's asking which of the following is closest to the monthly revenue for June 2009? And the graph shows number of months after June 2009. So if we're looking for June 2009, it would be 0 months after June 2009. So as we can see, that would be between 20 and 0, and only one of these answer choices is between 20 and 0, which would be answer choice A. Okay, question 4. All right, so for this one, we're given two right triangles, and we're told that they're similar, so we have, that is bad. This is 6, and this is 3. So using that information, we can tell that this triangle, all the sides are going to be half the length of this triangle. So this side length is 6, and this one's half that. And so it says, what are it says we're given AE is 15, so this is 15. And so using the same principle, we know that this has to be 2x and this has to be x. And so if we add them together, we get 3x equals 15, x equals 5. And it's asking for the length of CE, which is this part, which is 2x. So 5 times 2, which is 10. So the answer choice becomes D. Okay, question 5. Okay, so for this one, we're given what polynomial is equivalent to this, and we have, I'm not writing all that down, but we have 12 x to the fourth, and then what we're adding to it is the 6x to the fourth on the other side. Because we have to add the like terms where the x has the same exponent value. So this would be 18x to the fourth plus. And then how many x squared do we have? We only have one x squared, which is on the right polynomial, which is the 13x squared. And there's none on the left polynomial, so this would just be plus 13x squared. And then after that, we have to look at x. So we have negative 5x. And on the other side, we have positive 7x, which gets us 2x, so plus 2x. And last one, we have plus 18, and we have minus 9, which is just plus 9. Which is answer choice C. Okay, question 6. Okay, so for this one, we're given y equals x plus w over z. And so for this, we just have to get x by itself. So y times z equals x plus w, and subtract w from both sides. Y z minus w equals x, which is answer choice A. Okay, question 7. All right, so for this one, we're given a function, and we're given that g of x is the annual percentage increase, and we're given that, and we're given the function, we're given g of 20, so we're given that x is 20, and we're given that g of x is 1.376. And so this is the same thing as this. So 1.376 should be the percentage increase, and 20 should be the number of years. And so We can see the answer choice C says 20 years after 1990, and it says 20 times its population in 1990. Or the percentage increase was 1.376, so that says percentage increase. So the answer choice here would be C. Okay, question 8. Okay, so for this one, we're given that there's a function f, and we're given that it opens upward, so like this, and the coordinates of its vertex are both negative. Well, coordinates of its vertex are both negative, and so it asks which of the following could be true, and so this equation a to the x minus b, x minus c is just a slightly varied version of the vertex form. And so for this, for it to open upward, a has to be greater than 0 because it's opening upward here. And then for the rest, for the B and C, they have to be less than 0 because they're both negative. So A has to be greater than 0, B has to be less than 0, and C has to be less than 0. And so for A, it's basically is it opening upward or downward? And since it's opening upward, it's positive. And then for B and C, since they're both negative points, they both have to be less than 0. So the answer choice here would be C. Okay, question 9. Okay, so for this one, we're given two equations. 2x plus 6y equals 2, and 2 times 2x plus y equals 20. So the first thing I did was just multiply this out. So this becomes 4x plus 2y equals 20. And then what I did was just substitute. So these two are different equations. But for this one, I just subtracted 6y from both sides and I got 2x equals 2 minus 6y. And you could just plug this straight in, because here we have 4x, which is just the same thing as 2 times 2x. 2 times 2x is 4x. So we can just plug in the 2x from here, which we get 2 minus 6y plus 2y equals 20. It's just 4 minus 12y plus 2y equals 20, which is just 4 minus 10y equals 20. And we don't really need to solve this all out because just getting it in this form shows us that there's going to be only one solution with x comma y. It can't have zero solutions because it's not like 0y equals 20 or something like that. And it can't have infinitely many solutions because these two equations are different. You can't simplify them into the same equation. So the answer here would be B. There's exactly one solution. For two solutions, we would have to have like square root or something where you can get a plus or minus answer, which we don't really have here. But yeah, we could also get two solutions for something like this with absolute values. Okay, so for this one, we have this equation of 2x plus 6 in absolute value plus 4 equals 8. Let's just get rid of this 4 by subtracting 4 from both sides. So we get absolute value of 2x plus 6 equals 4. And then to get rid of the absolute value, you do plus or minus 4. So 2x plus 6 equals 4. And 2x plus 6 equals negative 4. And so if we just simplify these out, we get 2x equals negative 2. And for this one, we would get 2x equals negative 10. For this one, it'd be x equals -1, and for this one, it'd be x equals -5. And so this asks, what is the sum? So -5 plus -1 is -6. So the answer choice here would be A. Okay, question 11. Okay, so for this one, the first thing you're gonna have to do is find the equation of the line. And so the slope of this line is 3x plus, okay, and the y-intercept of this line is 3, so 3x plus 3 equals y. And then we have to get the y with on the same side as the x, so 3x minus y equals -3. Basically, I just subtracted y from both sides and subtracted 3 from both sides. So we get 3x minus y equals -3, and then it says the inequality, and we can see that the shaded region is below the line. So that means the line has to be greater than -3, so it would be greater than or equals to, which is answer choice B. Okay, question 12. Okay, so for this one, we just have a slightly varied version of vertex form. Given the graph, and it's like this, sort of. And we can see that the parabola opens downwards, so that means A has to be negative, and so it seems like A is negative 16, just based on the answer choices, but yes, it should be negative. And then for the next part, um, B would be 0.25 because it's right 0.25 units, which is right here. And then C would be 6 because that's the vertex, which is right here. It's 6. So it would be negative some number. So it seems like it's 16 based on the answer choices. And we have X minus, we have B, this is a B, X minus 0.25 squared because it's 0.25 to the right, or at least where the vertex is, it's 0.25 to the right. And then C is positive 6, so plus 6. This plus 6 should be to the right of this, but I can't really fit it on here. So answer choice would be answer choice D. Okay, question 13. Okay, so for this one, the we're asked to find the area of trapezoid A is how many times as large as the area of trapezoid B, and we're told that the length of each side of trapezoid A is 8 times the length of trapezoid B. And so for this, the main thing you can do is side 1 plus side 2. So what I did was I converted this into a rectangular prism. Because as you can see, this triangle is the same as this triangle. And so if you just take this part and you flip it and you put it here, you get a rectangular prism. So we can just do side length 1, which is just 8x, plus side length 2, which is also just 8x. If we're treating this as a triangular prism, where both of them would have the same length, divided by 2 times the height, which would also be 8 times. And so we would get 8 plus 8 is 16 over 2, which is just 8. So 8 times 8, which is just 64. So the answer choice here would be D, 64. Okay, question 14. Okay, so for this one, we have f of x is -8 times 6 to the power of x minus 4. Is that minus 4? Yeah, that is. Okay, so it says what is the y-intercept? Well, the y-intercept is where x is 0. So in our answer, we'll have 0 comma something. And so we replace this x with a 0. And so anything to the 0th power is just 1. So it's just, so this just becomes -8 times 1, which is just -8 minus 4, which is just -12. And so that's the answer. So it'd be 0, -12, which is answer choice A. Okay, question 15. Okay, so for this one, we have root 2q plus root 2r to the power of 2/3. And so translating this, it would just be cube root of, and then parentheses, root 2q plus root 2r squared. Okay, and so for this, you can't just do 2q plus 2r just because you're squaring it, because you're adding these two, because you'd end up missing the middle term. And so to find the middle term, it would just be 2 squared times root qr, because you'd basically have to multiply these two, which root 2q times root 2r would get you root 4q r, and then so root 4qr, and then this would just become 2qr, but then you still have to square it. So if we square this front 2, because you'd only square the front 2, which would get you 4 root qr, and then obviously you still have to keep the outside terms correct, which would just end up being 2q, and the right term would be 2r, and then the cube root would still be here, which gets you cube root of 2q plus 4 root qr plus 2r, which is answer choice D. So basically, because you're adding these two, you can't just do this squared plus this squared because you're missing the middle root. So to find that, you just do the multiplied by each other, which would just be 4qr, and cube root of that, which would get you 2, and then you still have to do the exponent thing, which would get you 4. Okay, question 16. Okay, so for this, we have 3x minus 9 equals 6. So what is the value of 2x? Well, we just need to find x first. So if we add 9 to both sides, we would get 3x equals 15. Divide both sides by 3, and we get x equals 5. And so what is the value of 2x? Just 2 times 5, which is just 10. So the answer is 10. Okay, question 17. Okay, so for this one, I have root x squared minus 9 equals 4. So if we get rid of the square root, we have x squared minus 9 equals 4 squared, which is just 16. And then if we get rid of the minus 9, we have x squared equals 16 plus 9, which is just 25. And so the square root of x squared and the square root of 25, we get x equals 5. So what is the positive solution? It would be 5. Okay, question 18. Okay, so for this one, we're given 2y plus 4x equals 9. And it says line R is perpendicular, so perpendicular would be like this. And so it says, what is the slope of line R? Well, first let's get this into y equals mx plus b form. So it would just be 4x, and then we subtract 9 from both sides, minus 9 equals, and then we subtract 2y from both sides equals negative 2y. And then we divide the entire equation by negative 2, which would get us negative 2x minus a number, because it doesn't really matter because we're just looking for the slope, equals y. And then since this is perpendicular, it would just be the inverse of this, which would just be 1 over 2, because you change the front sign. So it's negative, so now it becomes positive, and then you flip this, so this is like 2 over 1, and so now it becomes 1 over 2. And so the answer would just be 1 over 2. Okay, question 19. Okay, so for this one, we have 2x over 3 minus 2 equals x over 3 plus 1. And so for this, if we just get all the variables on the same side, we get 2x over 3 minus x over 3 equals 1, and then we add the 2 from here, so equals 3, because 1 plus 2 is 3, and then 2x over 3 minus x over 3 just gets us x over 3 equals 3, and so multiply both sides by 3, and we get x equals 9. And so this question asks, what is the value of 2x? 2x equals 18. So the answer is 18. And then last question, question number 20. Okay, so for this one, we have a circle with a radius of 4 meters. If they made the radius 1 meter, this would be really easy because then it would just be the unit circle, but it's not, it's 4 meters. And it says points A here and point B, which is somewhere else on this circle. Let's just say it's like here. This is definitely not to scale, but it's just an example. And it says the length 4 pi over 5 is what fraction of the circumference of the circle? Well, so we know that between this and this, it's 4 pi over 5. And so the way we would solve this is we'd do 4 pi over 5 times 1 over the diameter, which is just 8 pi. And the pi's would cross out and you get 4 over 40, which is just 1 over 10, which is just 0.1. Both of these answer choices are accepted. You could either write 1 over 10 or write 0.1. And I think that's it for today.
The math section we'll do next week,
You mean the calculator
like
section?
the calculator one. Yeah. Okay.